A very good morning to all the students of class 7. My name is Prerna and I'm your English teacher. And today from your English book Skyline, we are going to be reading chapter number 7. Has it ever happened with you that you have probably misunderstood someone just through their appearance, or maybe just because someone told you that this person is like that and this person is like this, and just by listening to other people's opinion you misunderstood someone? At some point of time this has happened with all of us, but imagine if there's a person right in front of you but you still misunderstand that person without even knowing totally, or without even having complete uh, information about that person. So this number 7, talks about a very interesting incident wherein one person is misunderstood. One person is not totally understood by the other. So let us start reading this chapter to find out what happens when two people are traveling together in a train and what they think about each other. So let us start reading this chapter. This is chapter number 7 of your book, and here we go. This is going to be chapter number 7, and the name of the chapter is The Eyes Have It. Here we go. Now, let us first read the introduction of the chapter. It says, well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. Thinks a character in the story. Let us read to find out why he is talking about people without eyesight. So there's a person who is talking about people who are blind and why this person is talking about them. I had the train compartment to myself up to Rohana. Then a girl got in. The couple who saw her off were probably her parents. They seemed very anxious about her comfort, and the woman gave the girl detailed instructions as to where to keep her things, when not to lean out of the window, and how to avoid sneaking to strangers. So there's a man who is sitting in a train compartment, and he's saying that up till a particular place the entire this compartment, I had this entire compartment. I was all alone in this compartment unless a girl entered into the compartment, and the people who had come to see off this girl were probably her parents, and this girl's mother was continuously giving instructions to this girl, instructions like where to keep her things, when she's not supposed to lean out of the window, and how she needs to be careful from strangers. So this person is just listening to their conversation. They called their goodbyes and the train pulled out of the station. As I was totally blind at the time, my eyes sensitive only to light and darkness, I was unable to tell what the girl looked like. So this person sitting in the train, this man sitting in the train was blind. But I knew she wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. It would take me some time to discover something about her looks, and perhaps I never would. Why? Because the man was blind. But I liked the sound of her voice and even the sound of her slippers. Are you going all the way to Dehra? I asked. I must have been sitting in a dark corner because my voice startled her. She gave a little exclamation and said, I didn't know anyone else was here. So this other girl, she was little taken aback. She was a little surprised, a little shocked the moment the moment this blind man asked the other girl that are you going to Dehra? So this girl suddenly said, "Oh, I didn't know someone else is also sitting on the other berth of the compartment." Well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. They have too much to take in, I suppose. So this blind man is now thinking that look at this girl. She's having a perfect eyesight and she did not even notice me. And then he says, this is the problem with people who have perfect eyesight, that they cannot see what is right in front of them, because they they have too much to take in, means they probably have so many things to look at that they cannot even see what is right in front of them. So then the story goes on. Whereas people who cannot see or see very little have to take in only the essentials, whatever registers tellingly on their remaining senses. I didn't see you either, I said, but I heard you come in. So now this man is comparing people who are blind and those who have perfect eyesight. So for people who are blind, he's saying that those people are only dependent on their other senses. Because they have to really focus to know that what is right in front of them. Now this man says, "Oh, you know what? Even I did not notice you. I just heard you talking." I wondered if I would be able to prevent her from discovering that I was blind. So this man was, trying to pretend that he had also not really seen the girl. But at the same time, he never wanted the girl to come to know that he was blind. Provided I keep to my seat, I thought it shouldn't be too difficult. The girl said, "I'm getting off at Saharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there." "Where are you going?" she asked. So the blind man replied, "To Dehra and then to Missouri." "Oh, how lucky you are. I wish I were to go to Missouri. I love the hills, especially in October." So now this girl said, "I wish even I could get a chance to go to Missouri." "Yes, this is the best time," I said, calling on my memory. So recalling the time that this man had spent in Missouri, he said that yes, this is actually the best time. October is the best time to go to Missouri. The hills are covered with wild dahlias. The sun is delicious, and at night you can sit in front of a log fire. Most of the tourists have gone, and the roads are quiet and almost deserted. Yes, October is the best time. She was silent. Then I made a mistake. So the blind man suddenly did something which he thought was a mistake. "What is it like outside?" I asked. She seemed to find nothing strange in the question. Had she noticed already that I could not see? But her next question removed my doubts. "Why don't you look out of the window?" she asked. So now this man asked this girl that, "What do you see outside?" So this girl said, "Oh, why don't you look outside yourself and you'll be able to see what all is there outside the window." So now this man was convinced that, okay, this girl is not aware of the fact that I am blind. I moved easily along the berth and felt for the window ledge. So this man, he was sitting on the berth. So let's say he was sitting in the center. He moved towards the window and he just tried to touch the rod of the window, so that to ensure that now he has reached the window. The window was open and I faced it, making a pretense of studying the landscape, pretending, just showing something which is actually not there. I heard the panting of the engine, the rumble of the wheels, and in my mind's eye, I could see telegraph posts flashing by. Rumble is the continuous deep sound. "Have you noticed?" I ventured. So this man suddenly asked this question to the girl. He said that the trees seem to be moving while we seem to be standing still. So what did the girl reply? "That always happens," she said. "Do you see any animals?" So now this girl is asking the blind man, "Do you see any animals?" "No," I answered quite confidently. I knew that there were hardly any animals left in the forest near Dehra. I turned from the window and faced the girl, and for a while we sat in silence. You have an interesting face, I remarked. So, this blind man is now complimenting the girl, saying that you have a very interesting face. She laughed pleasantly, a clear, ringing laugh. It's nice to be told I have an interesting face. I'm tired of people telling me I have a pretty face. Oh, so you do have a pretty face, thought I. And loud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty. You are a very gallant young man, she said. But why are you so serious? I thought then that I would try to laugh for her, but the thought of laughter only made me feel troubled and lonely. We'll be soon at your station, I said. Thank goodness it's a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train for more than 2 or 3 hours. So this girl is saying that I cannot travel so long in a train. Yet I was prepared to sit there for almost any length of time just to listen to her talking. Her voice had the sparkle of a mountain stream. As soon as she left the train, she would forget a brief encounter. Encounter is when you meet someone. And this is all what the blind man is thinking. But it would stay with me for the rest of the journey and for some time after. So the man is admiring this girl because he finds the voice of the girl very melodious, very mesmerizing. So he's saying, you know, the blind man is thinking to himself that the moment this girl will get out of the train, she'll just forget about us. But as far as I'm concerned, this encounter, this meeting with the girl will remain with me for some time. I'll still remember this meeting for for some amount of time. The engine's whistle shrieked, the carriage wheels changed their sound and rhythm. The girl got up and began to collect her things. So shriek is a very shrilling sound, that is made when the engine it is coming to an halt. I wondered if she wore a bun in her hair or if it was plaited. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders. Or was it cut very short? The train drew slowly into the station. So now this girl who had to get down at Saharanpur, her station had come. So this girl was ready to get off the train. Outside, there was shouting of porters and vendors and a high pitched female voice near the carriage door. Though that voice must have belonged to girl's aunt. Goodbye, the girl said. There was some confusion in the doorway. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. So the moment this girl was getting down, in the same compartment, another man was entering. And this man, the moment he was entering the apartment, he apologized to the girl. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry." Then the door banged and the world was shut out again. I returned to my berth. The guard blew his whistle and we moved off. Once again, I had a game to play and a new fellow traveler. So the blind man thought, okay, great. Now I have another passenger. I have a co-passenger, and I'm going to probably not let even this passenger come to know that I am blind. The train gathered speed. The wheels took up their song. The carriage groaned and shook. I found the window and sat in front of it, staring into the daylight that was darkness for me. So many things were happening outside the window. It could be a fascinating game, guessing what went on out there. The man who had entered the compartment broke into my reverie. Reverie means confusion. You must be disappointed, he said. I'm not nearly as attractive a traveling companion as the one who just left. So now this other man who had entered the same compartment where the blind man was sitting, he said that I'm sure you're disappointed because I'm not as beautiful as that girl was. She was an interesting girl, I said. Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short? I don't remember, he said, sounding puzzled. It was her eyes I noticed, not her hair. She had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. She was completely blind. Didn't you notice? So, the other man who had entered the compartment where the blind man was sitting, he asked the blind man that, didn't you notice anything about that girl? So, see how we tend to misunderstand some people without even knowing in depth about the other person's situation. So, next time, before you become judgmental about someone, before you conclude or before you make a thought or an opinion about someone, just understand that person completely, understand that person's situation completely, and then form an opinion. I hope you enjoyed reading this story. Thank you so much.